So I guess it's now time to transition into the Star Wars talk. So this comes from the hashtag show. It's a rumor, so take it as you will. Uh, so Nick Santos, I believe. Yes, Nick Santos from the hashtag show. He says that this week we could share that it appears John Boyega's Finn may be getting an upcoming Disney Plus series. It had previously been announced that J.D. Dillard and Matt Owens were working on a Star Wars film. I believe this came out last year from the Hollywood Trades. So he continues and says, according to multiple inside sources, that movie concept is now being repurposed as a series. J.D. Dillard and Matt Owens are still attached and have since retooled the movie to now be a longer form Disney Plus series focusing on Finn. Plot details are light on it. We know it's going to be post Rise of Skywalker, and it will have some prequel elements, so some flashbacks, obviously, to his time in the First Order. There's no word on Daisy or Oscar yet, so yeah. So this is a rumor, so let's treat it as that for right now. But I, over the past week, was really excited about this. The idea of even this happening. I think Finn in The Force Awakens is great. He's probably might be one of the better characters in that movie, and then his character kind of just goes downhill from there, in my opinion. So I would love a show with him. I think John Boyega is great. Yeah, and I'd love to explore his Force abilities. I think it'd be a great time to explore that. Alex, what do you think about this rumor of a Finn Disney Plus show?
He's a character who I never really liked. He was enjoyable in almost every movie he's in, but he's not a character where I'm just like, he needs a TV show. I think any sequel TV show should definitely be the in-between of episode 8 and 9. I think it's a development for the characters that we need the most. So overall for me, I'm not overly excited. I'm happy we're going to get more Finn, but I wish it was during a different time period.
Okay, so let me ask you this then. What would you want, what stories would you want between 8 and 9?
I just think more stories of him, Poe, and Rey as the big three is needed, because we're kind of just put in the middle of them in episode 9. We're basically told that, hey, they've been riding side by side together for a year. You don't get to see any of it, but here you go.
Kind of like the Clone Wars thing, tell the story of those 3 years with Anakin and Obi-Wan. Yeah, I think that's fair, but I also think it'd be cool to explore these characters post Rise of Skywalker. Obviously, Lucasfilm is definitely interested in telling these stories post Rise of Skywalker, and I think Finn is a character that he is one of the big three of that trilogy, and he doesn't have any ties to anything. It's just he's a stormtrooper who is Force sensitive, most likely. It's very heavily alluded to. So,
well, he is. He is. It's been confirmed. That's what he wanted to tell Rey.
Yeah. Okay. So, I don't know why they just didn't outwardly say it, but yeah,
it's the Rise of Skywalker. What do you want from it?
Right. So, I think that would be really interesting to explore. I think he's one of the more interesting concepts in Star Wars, a stormtrooper to a Jedi. That's fascinating. And if you can tell that in a TV show, yeah, and I think John Boyega is great. I think John Boyega has the potential to be the Chadwick Boseman of Star Wars, just with his personality, how gracious he is. I think John's great. One of my favorite people to listen to, just talk at interviews.
Yeah.
And I think Oscar worked on Moon Knight. And I wonder if he called up John and said, hey, I'm loving it. Maybe you would like to work on a Disney Plus show? Because I know John said, you ain't gonna Disney Plus me. But he's changed his attitude recently. He said, I'd work on Star Wars again if Kathy was involved. And we'll talk about Kathleen Kennedy a little bit later with the Mandalorian Season 2 gallery thing. Yeah, I think it would make a lot of sense for Finn to get his own show. Develop him out. Maybe he gets to meet up with Rey, and then he trains at the academy with Rey. Maybe we get our first signs of that. But I just love to explore Finn's character more. One of the more interesting concepts in Star Wars.
Yeah, and I even think that if they go the route of the in between 8 and 9, I think something that we could get is when they're going on missions, Finn kind of gets these like hunches on what to do. He kind of just like when they're kind of like when it's say just like him and Poe or someone on a mission, him and Rose on a mission, he can kind of get like a feeling of like they should probably not go that way or something like that. So yeah, I'd be down for it. I would love to see John come back. Really, really would want to see him come back. Honestly.
Definitely. I think he deserves some redemption after, especially the Rise of Skywalker. That was
Bad.
they did do a lot of his character justice. And the TLJ, his story, I wouldn't say his story was bad. It's just that it was like the least interesting part of the film.
Underwhelming compared to Force Awakens.
Oh, Force Awakens is great. He might be like, I mean, dude, they literally put Finn with a lightsaber in that poster, and then nothing. I get nothing. Probably the most disappointing thing from that trilogy, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
And okay, so now we're gonna transition. Excuse me. Into the Mandalorian Season 2 gallery. The finale of that. I talked about the finale and the Luke Skywalker specifically in that finale. Spoiler alert. But I want to just start off by saying my favorite part was Plo Koon.
Yes.
The mask. That was so funny to me that the code name for Luke Skywalker was Plo Koon. Obviously, Dave loves Plo. What did you think about that?
I actually want to say I forgot the gallery came out today, and What If came out. So I watched all of it, no joke, an hour before we came live. Or I finished an hour before we went live. So I enjoyed it. I didn't know it was Mark under the. It wasn't Mark, but it was Mark.
Right.
The final things that we see were not Mark, but he was used as reference. So
yeah. It wasn't his voice either. It was just like a bunch of
audio
voices they took
from a game.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It was an engine that created that.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. And I want to go into this. Star Wars is in great hands with John and Dave. Can I just say that? Yeah. These guys care. These guys really care.
Yeah.
I love what John says in the beginning. He's like, I see how older fans love how connected, and he feels like he has to respect these characters. I feel like John and Dave are doing that perfectly. I don't think Star Wars ever needed saving. But just for me personally, Star Wars was like a past thing. It was just like I felt like things were getting milked. I just think it wasn't going the direction that I really cared for at the time. But The Mandalorian brought me back into it. It feels like the original trilogy. It feels like the Star Wars I'm familiar with. And I think they've done a great job of bringing those familiar elements, treating them with respect and care. And you see how much they collaborate. I mean, they both know. And I love how they're talking about the execution. Dave's like, we gave you all the signs that it's Luke Skywalker. But it's the face that really sells it. Like, even though, say, the face isn't great, I'm still sold that it's Luke Skywalker.
I want to tell you this. They went through multiple faces that they were going to use, and there were just so many better options. I do not know why they went with the one that they went with. So many better hair options, lighting options. I don't know what went wrong. Who decided that the one that we got was acceptable?
Yeah, but again, it still feels like Luke Skywalker. It's not the face. It felt like Luke, the movements. And I loved Mark. Mark's great. Just him gushing over Grogu and being on set.
I like how they went to his house and made him get in costume,
Yeah.
and they gave him the Grogu puppet. I'm telling you, I laughed so hard. I was like, oh my gosh, though, why? It was great. I loved it.
Yeah, definitely. And I just love seeing like what type of tech they used to make it. Obviously, Peyton Reed, who directed this episode, directed both the Ant-Mans, is directed Ant-Man Quantumania right now. So they used a different technology. Obviously, they took a bunch of faces, and then they
Deep
tried to
fakes,
find.
baby.
Yeah, they tried to find the best face possible, and again, it doesn't look fantastic, but I love what John talked about. How him as a creator is trying to use this technology in a good way, and how creators with these products should try to use them in a good way and teach people how to recognize um, when it's not, and when it's like, because it's going to get to a point where you're not going to recognize like the difference.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
Yeah,
Just crushed my finger. Yeah, I thought I thought it was really interesting John's stance on it all, but yeah, I enjoyed the gallery. I really liked it.
I definitely did too. So, I'll transition now into our final topic. This comes from the people over at Bespin Bulletin. They got an exclusive that Andor, which seems like it's been filming for centuries, has finally finished filming. So they can confirm, as of August 20th, multiple cast members had wrapped. Diego Luna, who is the main character of the show, has wrapped. And, that's awesome. This show has been filming since late November. Obviously, COVID, they had COVID delays. Excuse me. That they also had to film in England, which had a second surge in COVID. They also used a lot of real sets. They didn't film in the volume like Mando, Kenobi, and all the other Mandoverse shows will. So it was tough. They had to deal with the weather. And it's 12 episodes. So this show, it was about a year of filming. And it's one of the more underrated projects, I think, in my opinion, Alex. I think we're underestimating the potential the show has. And now that it's done filming, I suspect that it comes out after Kenobi, especially if Kenobi has only 6 episodes and finished filming a week before. And it will take less time to edit because of the volume. It's not practical.
Yeah.
So, Alex, what do you think about this show? And like, where do you expect it to go? I mean, there's a lot of filming. So what do you think is going to happen?
I don't know. I think honestly the show's too early to tell. For me personally, at least. I think with Kenobi and whatnot and Ahsoka, you kind of have a general idea of what's gonna happen. But for Andor, I don't know. I hope we see a more grittier side of the rebellion, but yeah, I don't know. We need some more information before I can make a concrete guess of what's gonna happen.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't be surprised if we got some type of teaser at Disney Plus Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this show. I think Diego Luna is great as Cassian, and I don't want this show just to be about Cassian. I think this show as a whole is going to be more about the rebellion. Obviously, we get that in Star Wars Rebels a little bit. We get a cell of the rebellion, but I think what Andor is going to be about is the larger rebellion as a whole. How the rebellion even has different thought processes. Obviously, as Mon Mothma is more of the pacifist, she doesn't want to fight. We're going to have Cassian and his side that probably, is going to go into dogfights. It's going to be a spy. I want this show to be darker. Like Rogue One is a pretty dark movie when you compare it to the rest of Star Wars. So I suspect this project will be darker, probably visually and probably in its tone. Yeah, I just want to see like the rebellion have to do things that aren't great.
Yeah.
They have to cut corners. They have to, maybe even kill people, right? They have to sacrifice something. They're not just the good, jolly old folks. They're terrorists, as we talk about. Me and you, they're terrorists to a government. And that's the actions they have to take if they want to spark a rebellion. Obviously, we're going to see Saw Gerrera again. So I think Andor, it's not just going to focus on the character of Cassian. It's going to focus on all the pieces of the rebellion throughout the galaxy.
Yeah, I agree. 100% agree. And Saw Gerrera is in everything. Name me a Star Wars project that he's not in.
The original trilogy.
Okay. Name me a show he's not in.
The sequel trilogy. Oh, that's not a show. Mandalorian and Resistance.
He's dead by that point. How about when he's alive? He's in Clone Wars. He's in Bad Batch. He's in Rebels.
It's in everything, man.
It's been Saw Gerrera all along. He's everywhere.
Yeah.
He's in your nightmares. Like.
Oh, it definitely is.
You'll see him everywhere you go.
Yeah, I suspect this show will come out after Kenobi. I'm not sure if it will come out before the Bad Batch Season 2. But it's going to come out after Kenobi. So summer, fall of probably 2022, we will get this show. Alex and I, of course, will be covering it when it comes out. We'll be doing reaction